council member, that as soon as you came in, all business would stop. So don't think we're all staring at you for a reason or anything. But I understand you have a new staff member.
Yeah, we're going to introduce, yeah. Where are we at in the agenda? They're all right. Balls on my feet are a little rough, but it happens.
Where we are is, we are actually at 7:30, council member.
Oh, you're on time.
Well, we skipped a couple.
Oh, you skipped a couple. And I'm on time.
Yes, perfect.
Okay, all right. We are going to pass on a sign-in sheet if you don't mind signing in. We do have to justify why we use city dollars to purchase food, just a little bit of pizza. But this is how we justify it, is with the sign-in sheet. So, and we do have the reader, if anybody's going to leave beforehand, for the validation. Yeah, validated. So yes, apologize for my tardiness. I just walked. It was supposed to be walk a mile. They moved the YWCA walk a mile in her shoes over to Santana Row. And it's not even a mile anymore. It was 2 laps around. I don't know what they call it, like the park area.
Santana Park.
Santana Park. Super short. Last year was definitely a mile. Actually, last year was a little more than a mile here around downtown. So, but
Is that because the men complained?
I don't know. Maybe, right? Yeah. I told them. I said, so yeah. We did the fundraiser for the YWCA Rape Crisis Center, which is a good fundraiser. So, but yeah. So I wanted to initially introduce David, new staff member, just started a week and a half ago. So, and he had no idea he was going to be walking in high heels until this afternoon. So, yeah, but he did really well, and he broke a heel.
Yes.
On purpose?
No. No, I actually made him go back. And
I actually had to go back and put a new one and do it all over again.
No, I wasn't, because it was on the first lap, so I wasn't going to let him get out of it. So, but yeah, but as you all know, I wanted to make sure that everybody from my staff has an opportunity to come through here, and they're going to be rotating. So David will be here, and our staff is now fully complete. And Patricia Seha, who you have met already as well. She was initially our part-time staff, but she's now going to be full-time. So our staff is complete, and you will continue to see the rotation throughout. And so we did obviously finish up the budget. We just approved the budget, and certainly a number of things. I know that John, you were saying potentially there was, I don't know if we wanted to go to Q&A for this particular portion, or if you wanted me to just give
Well, go ahead and give your updates, and then we'll give everybody an opportunity. Before we ask questions, I'll give them a couple ground rules to try to move it more smoothly and make it fair to everybody.
Okay, so I think the 2 biggest things that I wanted to mention here, these are conversations that we've had ongoing with the CLC. And one of it is the participatory budgeting, which I was extremely surprised that we got approved for $100,000 in the budget, because that was against the rules that were laid out. If we wanted to participate in the participatory budgeting, we were not supposed to submit any budget documents. That was the rules. I cleared that up with our mayor. We had items that we wanted to submit for. We definitely, kind of toyed around with that and battled it amongst the group in regards to which way we wanted to go. And we just felt there were still a few budget documents that we wanted to also put forth. Actually, it was Gene and Lydia from my team that said, well, why don't we just write a budget document anyways for this sort of budgeting? What's the worst thing that can happen if he says no? So we did play fair, though. We didn't ask for the full amount. We did try to ask for just $100,000. And nobody else asked for it. And I think that's the only reason that the mayor said yes, because it wasn't a huge chunk of money that was going around. Nobody else had expressed interest. No other group like the CLC had been eager from the beginning, saying, hey, we're willing to go through the hoops of what this would look like. So we are the pilot project for participatory budgeting. We were approved for that $100,000, and the budget documents were submitted and were accepted. So that was positive on both ends. The other one, which is this was the back and forth really for fireworks, and this was not in the budget process. This was outside of that. This was about policy, and this was really from last year. The idea of putting this policy forth to open up the citations to maybe our CSOs, our parking code enforcement, to be able to cite for illegal use of fireworks. And it died last year in priority setting, and the idea was, and I had confirmed back and forth with our mayor's office, that they were going to put something forward outside of the process. So we let them do that. Well, as time came around and they weren't putting anything forward, I continued to come back to ask them, well, what is it that we're going to be seeing? And ultimately it turned into another memo to put into priority setting. So I wanted to obviously participate in whichever method we were doing. And so I signed on to that memorandum, which came out a couple weeks ago, that is going to address this at priority setting. And we're now sort of lobbying with other council members. And there's supposed to be a press conference as well tomorrow where we're going to address, obviously, the urgency of this prior to the 4th of July. But nonetheless, it's still going to priority setting, much like any other priority issue, just like what we were dealing with yesterday with renters' rights issues and housing and homelessness. Everything's really, at this point, is going to the priority setting, so we can take a look at it and then prioritize it for our staff to be able to say, here's where we want you to work on these items and in this order. So that's where those two are standing, and I think those were the two major issues that we had already discussed over the first few months. Certainly there was a number of other things in the budget, I think some really great things as well. But that's really it, that's the major update. So I will now open it up for a Q&A.
Okay, so because there's so many of us and because there's only 17 minutes, I'm gonna ask, I know it's really hard to ask a question and get an answer and then not say, but what about this? But in the interest of giving everybody a chance, try to keep it to one question, and then after people have asked their question, if there's time, perfectly okay to ask a second one. Is that all right with you guys? Sure. Okay, so who would like to go first with a question? We're taking show of hands. Richard.
Do you want me to say my question now or later?
You can say your question now. If we don't
Okay.
have time to answer it, we'll tell you that, or if we don't know the answer, we'll tell you that.
One time you mentioned about 7-Eleven and there's going to be more security and they're going to be paid for it. I mean, I live probably exactly in between two 7-Elevens and I don't see anything happening, so what's going on?
You are very right, nothing has happened.
No.
So the agreement with the owners of 7-Eleven was that they were going to fund, and this was through RLEI, that they were going to fund for private security, and initially it was just supposed to be the one on St. James. 6th. And 6th. And then we said, well, we're actually having issues with the other 7-Elevens in the district. We'd like to have a roaming security effort on all of those. There was an agreement there in place that they would do that. Well, months have gone by and they haven't done it. So now the next stage with RLEI is really to make good on that promise that we would then seek legal action against them. And so we have a follow-up meeting now. We're just trying to coordinate it with the neighborhood. Initially, this was really all coordinated out of the Hyde Park Neighborhood Association. So we're now just on that stage of coordinating the next meeting where we're going to come in. It'll be myself. I have never even been to one of those meetings because essentially that's how RLEA likes to work it, right? We can get others involved, but if we can just coordinate it with the neighborhood and the business owner and the property owner, better, right? And we don't have to go any further. Well, this is now taking it a step further because essentially they haven't reacted or responded to what they said they would. So that's why you're not seeing anything.
And it was actually with the Horace-Mann Neighborhood Association. We started that.
Horace-Mann, I'm sorry,
That's okay,
Horace-Mann, yes,
that's
you're
all
right. Yeah. Right out here.
Yeah, right here.
Literally, right here.
Thanks for clearing that up.
Did I say Hyde Park?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, Horace-Mann.
O-H-H.
Yes.
Okay, Kim.
Quick question. A lot of neighbors, residents are calling me and asking what we're going to do about the oil train issue and the vote that's going to happen later this month. A lot of very concerned residents. What, if anything, is the city going to do about that? Are we still going to do a busload of people down there and speak against it? Or?
Yeah, the city's not organizing that, but there are city representatives that are participating in that. We don't have a date yet, so I have elected to go, Osh is elected to go, and we certainly have a lot of residents here that are interested in going. But the city's not coordinating that effort, and they're not going to. The city has done really as much as it can do, which is send out the notice that our city is now opposed to this, amongst a number of other cities and organizations that have done the same. So that's really it. Ball is out of our court. So the next step is really to show up at that commission meeting. And we're still trying to make sure we have a good showing for that
We won't do it
meeting.
yet.
From my knowledge, no, unless somebody knows more than I do. Yes?
Yeah, I would go through our Colorado office, because he's the one
He's the
who's
one
leading
organizing
it.
it.
Also, there's a website that Jack Sardina set up, stoptheoilcranes.org. My company made a couple videos on there, a second one is
Beautifully
going
done.
on there, and it has all the contact information.
But still no date, right, from your
Still no
knowledge?
date.
Still no date.
Yeah, still
They
no
just said we were here in the
They
end
will
of June.
they'll probably only give us about a week's notice, so that there's not a lot of time for people to organize,
Okay.
so.
Yeah, as soon as we get the date, we'll publicize it as well, so, yeah, but that's kind of it. I mean, there's not too much else that we can do, that this decision is in the hands of these commissioners, so, yeah, so.
Any other questions?
Yeah, we're doing a third video addressing the commissioners individually.
Bob?
One of the things I would be interested is, if someone's got connection into any of the law training universities around here, to see if they could take on a project of suing the hell out of these guys for a safety issue.
You know, let's take that offline, because I got a
Yeah.
response from Jack Sardina regarding your question of liability and our
Okay.
options. So, I'm sorry if I didn't pass that on, but considering how my track record has been lately, I'm not at all surprised.
Could you let all of us know about that? Because that's important.
Sure, what I'll do is I will find Jack's email with the response, which was quite detailed. If I remember, he had to go through several people to get an answer, and he did actually include me in the train, which if you're in a Yahoo group now, you know, you don't just get to see a string of messages, they make it into a conversation, and you have to like use a strainer to sort it out. But I will do my best to get that to you on a clear basis, and I'll send that out to the CLC group. I know you guys don't like too many, but this issue is a little too important, yeah. So, and I will point out too, and excuse me, I saw a few people that came in that didn't probably have the opportunity to sign in and introduce yourself, so if you'd like to do that now, because it doesn't look like there's any further questions.
I have one.
Okay, Rudy.
Oh, yes.
Rudy's question is, do you support National Night Out? No, I'm kidding.
Hopefully.
It is hot in there, huh?
Yeah, it's warm. In our local park, we have, it's been discussed that there may be chromium hexavalent in the water. How do we get the water tested for that park, and where do we go, where do we move forward from there? I think Aaron Brockovich actually did a story on the Ryland
Oh,
Park.
that, really?
Yes.
Ryland.
Hexavalent chromium, or chromium, oh yeah, sorry, I placed that wrong. But I noticed that a lot of our dogs in our neighborhood are dying and they have tumors on their bodies and stuff like that. I mean, this is just not mine, it's like multiple neighbors, but I don't
You're talking
know.
about the tap water then?
I don't know, you know, I just wanted to see if that has anything that's related to.
Yeah, well, if you don't mind, we can take that offline too, because I don't have the answer to that question. So,
Okay.
so if you don't mind,
Or I can contact your office.
yeah, if you can contact the office, we can help decide where, where it is best to start asking.
Because I can't afford to, you know, that's a
Yeah.
couple grand, I
Yeah,
think,
it
to
doesn't
test the
sound
water.
good. Yeah, but unfortunately, obviously, I don't know the answer to that.
Okay.
Okay, were there any questions back here? I'm sorry, I have my back to you ladies. Wow, this has been the most compliant group ever, but what we can do is we can go ahead and adjourn a few minutes early, and the council member, as always, has agreed to stay, and the room is open. So if there's further conversations or questions of Kimberly, of Rudy, of Matt, or anything else that we've discussed on the agenda, please feel free to stay and bring it up. Kimberly?
I just have one announcement, because I